Okay. Welcome all to the Saturday morning program, continuation of our morning program. Okay. We'll offer prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadadi Swapadandikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sagitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Desatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Shrinvatam Swakata Krishna Punyashravana Kirtanaha Hridayantasto hi abhadrani vidnoti sugratsutam Yate cham sakala pumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indriyari Vyakulam Lokam Hridayante Yuge Yuge Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Okay, so welcome all to today's class. So we're starting this new chapter. Soon we'll publish the 7th chapter document. It is ready. So we'll publish it today. We request all of you to start practicing the respective slokas, the themes, all those things said, and completely internalize the 7th chapter. The 8th chapter work is in progress. The team will publish in maybe in a week's time. So then you can start practicing that also. Okay. Okay, so now let's go to chapter 9. So chapter 9, if you look at the heading, it is passing away of Bhishma Dev in presence of Lord Krishna. Okay. Now, so let's look at some past discussions that we've had. If you look at Srimad Bhagavatham Canto 1, so Canto 1 is really wonderful. It sets the base for us to understand Bhagavatam. It talks about the glories of that Supreme Lord Krishna. It establishes his supremacy. Then it also talks about wonderful personalities who are eternal associates of the Lord. Glories of devotees. It establishes their supremacy. Bhagavatam also gives us, we also read slokas like the richness of Bhagavatam, how tasty it is, right? So by one taking shelter of Bhagavatam, how he can transcend this material world. Right? So we talked about all those things in the 1st chapter. So in the first canto, you see Srila Prabhupada establishes with such wonderful purports. Purports what one cannot imagine. And in his purports, he explains everything in a very systematic format. We also came across great personalities like Sukadeva Goswami. We got introduced to him. We also got understood the position of Sudha Goswami. We also understood the great literary work of Vyasdev and inspired by his spiritual master Narada Muni. Right? Then we also started with many prayers in Canto 1 of Srimad Bhagavatam. We started with Arjuna offering prayers at the time of Brahmastra being fired. We also saw Uttara offering prayers at the time when Brahmastra is coming to Devastator. And we also saw Kunti Devi offering prayers to Krishna. She is now wanting all aspects. How is that in my life I can keep remembering you, Krishna? So that is the goal of her life. Now, moving on, we saw the position of Yudhishthira Maharaj, right? So he attaining the kingdom, the throne, he is in a very precarious condition. He is in a very devastated condition. Okay, to achieve my throne, why I had to kill so many of the living entities, so many of the people? What is that I'm achieving? And in fact, if you read the sloka number 53, he says, look at this sloka number 52. Okay. See, look at this. Okay. He says, Strinam maddata bandhanam drohoya asva ihotiha. Ihoti tita karmabir gramedai naham kalpo vyapohitam. If you look at the translation, here Prabhupada writes, I've killed many friends of women, and I have thus caused enmity to such an extent that is not possible to undo by my material welfare work. Okay, what is material welfare here? Following different yagyas, different prayashchita, different activities to nullify one's reaction. Just it cannot be nullified. So that is not the solution, right? Then look at the sloka 52. He says, as it's not possible to filter muddy water through mud. So muddy water here refers to all the sins committed or the activities that are committed. And then now you want to clear that muddy water with mud. So I'm killing one and then I'm doing some sacrificial, like Ashwamedha Yajna, perform a sacrifice, kill animals into that sacrifice, and then nullify my action. So he says, I can't do that, right? So it is stained. So hence, Yudhishthira Maharaj is feeling very morose, right? So in that state, Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead, rather than himself taking the position of a teacher and teaching Yudhishthira Maharaj, he wanted Yudhishthira Maharaj to hear the importance of dharma, or the importance of devotion, or importance of certain instruction, how to rule the kingdom from his great devotee Bhishma. Hence, we come to this purport. We come to this chapter 9, which is the passing of Bhishma Dev in presence of Lord Krishna. Now, very, very beautiful things to understand out of this. If you look at having conversation with various people, including devotees, many of them would say, so many atrocities were committed in Hastinapur. I mean, the worst of the atrocities was disturbing the daughter-in-law of Hastinapur, Draupadi, in front of everyone, right? But for so many atrocities, including killing of the Pandavas, a lot of adharmic activities, Bhishma Dev could not act. He was curtailed. His hands were cuffed. So people would not appreciate position of Bhishma Dev. But look at this chapter, which is dedicated, right, which is more focused on Bhishma Stuti. Yeah, Krishna wanted Yudhishthira Maharaj to hear from Bhishma Dev, who is another great devotee of Lord Krishna. Krishna could have easily taken the mantle and explained everything to Yudhishthira, but he did not want to do that. He wanted to hear from a great devotee like Bhishma Dev. If Bhishma Dev's greatness was not established or recognized by the Supreme Lord, why will he make arrangement? Because in the previous chapter of 8, we saw the sloka where Krishna inspires from inside of Yudhishthira as Paramatma, telling that causing him depression, causing him despondency, causing him a state of unhappiness. So, you see, the Lord wants Yudhishthira to take shelter of another great devotee. Now, because Vishwadeva is a great devotee, Lord chosen him to give this instruction to Yudhishthira. Right? So, this is very important to understand. Now, people may comment against Bhishmadev, and that is very common because of what they see from a materialistic point of view. But Krishna knows the heart of Bhishmadev because he is residing as Paramatma in the heart of Bhishmadev. Right? A similar example we discussed in case of Akrura. Akrura was a great devotee of Lord Krishna. But where was he working? He was working for Kamsa. Right? But even though he was working for Kamsa, who was day in, day out wanting to kill Krishna and Balaram, but his consciousness was to serve Krishna. He looked for every opportunity to serve him. When he got that opportunity, he served him wonderfully. Right? So, the conclusion is due to various time, place, circumstances, the Lord may place a particular devotee in a particular situation in order to get the nectar out of, one's life. And that can be great education for us. If we don't understand this principle, then we may misconclude, Mahajanas like Bhishmadev, and then not understand their preachings or understand their instructions or prayers. So, as devotees, we have to be open and think in a multidimensional perspective as to if this is true, why this? If this is true, why this? So, like that is how we should go on reading in a scrutinizing manner Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. So now let's begin with the chapter 9 of Canto 1. Chapter 9. Text 9.1. Suta vacha iti bhita prajadrohat sarva dharma vivitsaya tato vinashanam pragat yatra deva vrato patat. Now look at this translation. Suta Goswami said, being afraid of having killed so many subjects on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Maharaj Yudhishthira went to the scene of the massacre. He went to the Kurukshetra warfield. There, Bhishmadev was lying on a bed of arrows, about to pass away. Right? So here, Prabhupada is talking about Ichcha Marana of Bhishmadev. Right? Bhishmadev is benedicted with what is called as Ichcha Marana. Ichcha Marana means one can have his own desire and will when he wants to leave his body, which is very rare. How many of you have heard you've got such a benediction? No. But he's got such a benediction. So can someone read the purport?
Hare Krishna. In this 9th chapter, as it is willed by Lord Sri Krishna, Bhishma Deva will impart instructions to King Yudhishthira on the subject of occupational duties. Bhishma Deva will also offer his last prayer to the Lord on the verge of passing away from this material world and thus become liberated from the bondage of further material engagements. Bhishma Deva was endowed with the power of leaving his material body at will, and his lying down on the bed of arrows was his own choice. This passing away of the great warrior attracted the attention of all the contemporary elites, and all of them assembled there to show their feelings of love, respect, and affection for the great soul. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. See, I think there is an issue with my internet. I'm not able to follow what you're speaking. Give me a minute. I'll just log out and log in. Okay. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Pawan Prabhu, are you there? Okay, Ashokadma Prabhu, I'll make you as the, I'm not seeing Pawan Prabhu, so I'll make you as admin and I'll come. Hare Krishna, can someone speak? I'm back.
Yes,
Hare Krishna Guruji.
Now it's okay, good. I restarted my Wi-Fi router and became on. Okay. So you see here, the keywords are, this one. Bhishma Deva was endowed with the power of leaving his material body at will, and his lying down on the bed of arrows was his own choice. So this passing away of great warrior attracted the attention of all contemporary elites, and all of them assembled to show their feelings of love, respect, and affection for the great soul. Going on. So now you see the key words here, right? The passing away of the great warrior attracted attention of contemporary elites. So contemporary elites refers to great personalities, great devotees, like rishis, like great sadhakas, great kings like Yudhishthira and other great warriors. And all of them assembled to show their feelings of love, right? Respect and affection for the great soul. So if Bhishma Deva was portrayed to be a negative character, why would there be demonstration of such great love and respect from all these personalities, right? So that is what is important to understand. Okay, now let's go to next sloka, 9.2. Tada te bratarhas sarve sadasvai swarna bhushitahai anvagachan ratair vipra vyasa daumya dayastata. Translation. At the time, all his brothers followed him on beautiful chariots drawn by first-class horses decorated with gold ornaments. With them were Vyasdev and rishis like Dhaumya, the learned priest of Pandavas, and others. Right? So it is not just Yudhishthir went to that spot where Bhishma Dev is lying on bed of arrows. It is the entire arena of people. So many great personalities, along with Lord Krishna, they went. Okay. Now, the next few slokas, the author describes all such wonderful personalities who assembled in the place, right? So 9.3, 9.4 is all about the same thing, right? Now we'll go to 9.5. Tatra brahmarshaya sarve devarshaya cha sattama rajarshaya cha tatrasan drastum bharata pungavam. Translation. just to see the chief of descendants of King Bharat, Bhishmadev, all of the great souls in the universe, namely the rishis, amongst the demigods, brahmanas and kings, all situated in quality of goodness, were assembled there. Okay? So can someone read the purport?
Hare Krishna. The rishis, those who have attained perfection by spiritual achievements, such spiritual achievements can be earned by all, whether one is a king or a mendicant. Bhishmadeva himself was also one of the Brahmarshis and the chief of the descendants of King Bharata. All rishis are situated in the quality of goodness. All of them assembled there on hearing the news of the great warrior's impending death. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. See, look at the key word here. The rishis, those who have attained perfection by spiritual achievements, okay, who are called Brahma rishis, Raja rishis, and such personalities, they are not interested in mundane activities of our life. They would not go out of their place in order to address the death of an ordinary person, right? Now, here Prabhupada is comparing that Bhishmadev is also Brahma rishi. And he says, he is one of the topmost of the descendants of King Bharat. So, all these Brahma rishis who have attained perfection in spiritual life, that means they have attained God realization. They probably also achieved love of Godhead. And such personalities with great respect in separation of another Vaishnava, right? So they come and assemble. Okay. 6.7. Parvato narado daumyo Bhagavan Badarayanah Bradashvo Bharadvajaha Sasishyo Renuka Sutaha Vasishta Indra Pramadas Tirtro Grisamadositaha Kakshivan Gautamo Trischa Kaushiko Ata Sudarshanaha. Translation. All the sages like Parvata Muni, Narada, Daumya, Vyasa, and other incarnation of God, Bharadvaja, and Parshurama and disciples, Vasishta, Indra Pramada, Tirtha, Gritsamada, Ashita, Kakshivan, Gautama, Atri, Kaushika, and Sudarshana were present. So here Prabhupada is making a point to ensure that all these great personalities, their actual transcendental position are being glorified. So if you look at it, it's a very long purport. So for example, Prabhupada, I'll just read for one of them because it's a long purport, you can read. Everyone, for example, Parvata Muni. Parvata Muni is considered to be one of the oldest sages. He is almost always a constant companion of Narada Muni. There are also spacemen competent to travel in the air without the help of any material vehicle. Parvata Muni is also Devarshi, like Narada, or a great sage among the demigods like Narada. He was present along with Narada at the sacrificial arena ceremony of Maharaja Janamajaya, the son of Maharaja Parikshit. In this sacrifice, all the snakes of the world were to be killed because Janamajaya got very much disturbed by a snake killing his father. He said there should not be any more snakes in this world. So he was doing this great sacrifice. That is what is being talked about. Parvata Muni and Narada Muni are called Gandharvas also because they can travel in there singing the glories of the Lord. Since they can travel in there, they observed Draupadi's Swayamvara ceremony, selecting her own husband from the air. Like Narada Muni, Parvata Muni also used to visit royal assembly in the heaven of King Indra. As a Gandharva, sometimes he visited the royal assembly of Kuvera, one of the important demigods. Both Narada and Parvata were once in trouble with the daughter of Maharaja Srinjaya. Maharaja Srinjaya got the benediction of a son by Parvata. So like that you see, Prabhupada is taking this opportunity to explain each and every glory of those people who have assembled. So people who assembled were not ordinary. Starting from Supreme Personality of Godhead, many of such rishis, they assembled in this place where Yudhishthira is going to hear the instructions of Bhishmadev. So that tells the position glories of Bhishmadev. So you please read the purport so that you can understand each and every stage, every sage who assembled in that arena for this great conversation. Okay? For example, Vyasdeva, Daumya, everyone's details are being put here. Parshurama, Renukasuta, Vasishta, Indra Pramada. So like that, all the Ashita, Atri, Kakshivan, Sudarshana, Kaushika, all these people's glories have been also described by Prabhupada for us to understand the context. Okay, who's what is their specialty? Like, okay. So in this sloka, again, Prabhupada is talking about the two personalities, Sukadeva Goswami and Kashyapa and Angirasa. And others accompanied by respect assembled there. They also brought their great disciples also there. That means this event of Bhishma Dev passing away and this Bhishma Dev instructing Yudhishthira in presence of Lord Krishna, in presence of so many of these great rishis, is such an important event that everyone made it a point to be present there. So you can read the purport of this very detailedly. Okay, it just talks about the position of each of the rishis, Kashyapa, Angirasa, what happened, right? So their pastimes are being denoted here. Okay, so now let's go to the core of the subject matter. Text 9.9. Tan sametan mahabhagan upalabhya vasuttamaha pujayam asha dharmagno desha kala vibhagavit. So this is very important. Look at this keyword. This pujayam asha dharmagno. So this is a very, very key word. So let's see what this keyword means. Pujayam asha means Bhishma Dev welcomed Dharmagnya, one who knows religious principles. That means you may be wondering, he's in his deathbed. His body is pierced with thousands of arrows. No, but still, he's welcoming each and everyone who assembled there. How is it possible? And how did he do that? Is what the author is explaining here. Okay, let's look at the translation. Bhishma Dev was the best among the 8 Vasus, received and welcomed all the great and powerful rishis who were assembled there, for he knew perfectly all the religious principles according to time and place and circumstances. Okay. Now let's read the purport. This is a very important purport for all of you to understand. Okay. The sloka is also important to remember. So can someone read the purport?
Hare Krishna. Purport. Expert religionists know perfectly well how to adjust religious principles in terms of time and place. All the great acharyas or religious preachers or reformers of the world executed their mission by adjustment of religious principles in terms of time and place. There are different climates and situations in different parts of the world. And if one has to discharge his duty to preach the message of the Lord, he must be expert in adjusting things in terms of time and place. Bhishma Deva was one of the 12 great authorities in preaching this cult of devotional service, and therefore he could receive and welcome all the powerful sages assembled there in his deathbed from all parts of the universe. He was certainly unable at that time to welcome and receive them physically because he was neither at his home nor in his normal healthy condition. But he was quite fit by the activities of his sound mind, and therefore he could utter sweet words with hearty expressions, and all of them were well received. One can perform one's duty by physical work, by mind, and by words, and he knew well how to utilize them in the proper place, and therefore there was no difficulty for him to receive them, although physically unfit. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So what are the key points here? Bhishma Dev was physically unfit. Yes, it is true, because he was lying on his deathbed. But his mind was clear. And he was able to speak by his vacha. So that way he was able to offer prayers and welcome all of them. Right? So you see how a great leader is teaching us how to be practical in our bhakti. Right? Now, for example, if we go tell someone, Prabhuji, the Shastra says You have to live in a holy place. You have to take bath in a holy river. And where are you? You are somewhere in Russia, Siberia. You cannot do this. You cannot perform devotion. So Prabhupada, what did he do? He said, wherever you are, by your preaching, by your devotional activities, you can create a place like Vrindavan Dham, with presence of Tulasi, with presence of Saligram, presence of the deities, with presence of the Uttama Sloka. All these things can make a place like a Vrindavan Dham. You want Ganges River? Yeah, you may not get Ganges River in Siberia, but what you can do, you can recite Gange Cha Yamuna Chaiva, and you can see Yamuna and Ganges, they manifest there, right? So whatever flowers that you offer is based on what is grown in that area. Whatever fruits that you offer is based on what is grown in that area. So the point is bhakti. The point is bhakti is how you take a particular situation into your favor and perform your action of bhakti. So bhakti is not about excuses. Bhakti is about how favorable we are in converting every situation in performing our actions. This is what is important to understand. Right? So a great leader is teaching how you can perform at all points in time in our life. Now let's take an example. Let's take example in the pastime of Dhruva Maharaj and Narada Muni. So what happened to Dhruva Maharaj pastime? Dhruva Maharaj was determined, I want to attain a position as high as Brahmaji or Brahma's position. So I've come here to perform tapasya. So Narada Muni, what did he say? No, it's all very difficult, not possible. But he was determined. So Narada Muni said, okay, fine, you can start practicing. But while he started practicing, he was a novice. He didn't know anything. He was a child. So Narada Muni taught him every aspect of the practice. But when Narada Muni taught him practice, he told him, see, you can just take he was, performing his tapasya on the banks of Yamuna River. He said, in Yamuna River, one of the glory of Yamuna River banks is lots of Mahavan, lots of Tulasi grow. So you take that Tulasi and you offer in your worship. You have the holy river, Yamuna, you take that water and offer your worship. And he said, go to the banks of Yamuna. Here is where all the gopis have placed their legs. All the great devotees have placed their legs in performing their pastime. So take the soil from that, the clay soil from that, and make a vigraha. Just out of mud. Whether you get proper shape or not doesn't matter. But you make a vigraha out of that and decorate the vigraha with all these flowers that you get. And in the forest, what you get? You may get some, forest fruits, some honey, things like that. You take that and offer to that vigraha. So like that, Narada Muni taught bhakti practice to Dhruva in whatever the time, place, circumstances he is in, accordingly you can perform bhakti. This is important to understand. Narada Muni did not talk about, unless you have a marble deity, unless you have a metal gold deity, you can perform devotion. He never talked about that. So you see how bhakti can be practical. That is important. So now here, in this condition, this state of condition, where Bhishma is about to leave his body, he is physically unfit. So what did he do? He glorified each and every personality who assembled there by his vacha, by his manasa. In his heart, he paid obeisances. By his words, he glorified them and welcomed them. And that's how he is demonstrating a devotee's quality in performing worship to others. Right? So we may also see, in our day-to-day life, we may have a certain guest coming, a devotee guest coming. It is not that every time devotees come, you have to make a big feast and serve them. But with whatever you have, in a heart-filled manner, you can serve them. That is important. So when we demonstrate such qualities, it pleases the Lord. Right? So Bhishma Dev is demonstrating that here. Okay? So far clear?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. So now, this is the key word here. Pujyam Asha Dharmagna. He knows what is Dharma. So according to the standards of Dharma, he adjusted and he offered Pujya. And he said, how did he adjust it? There is a Kala Vibhaga with, according to place and time. Right? Okay. Let's go to the next sloka. 9.10. Krishnam cha tat prabhavagnya asinam jagadishwaram hridistam pujayam asa Maya Yopat Vigraham. Translation. Lord Krishna is situated in everyone's heart, yet he manifests his transcendental form by his internal potency. This very Lord was sitting before Bhishma Dev, and since Bhishma Dev knew all his glories, he worshipped him very duly. So, what does this explain us? This explains that Bhishma Dev was fully aware of the position of Krishna. He talks him about Prabhavagnya. Krishna is also well aware of Bhishma Dev, his glories. How? Because Krishna is sitting in the heart of Bhishma Dev as Paramatma. It says, Asinam Jagadishwaram. He is the one who, as Paramatma, sitting in all the living entities. So that means he is aware of the glories of that personality. So you can see in one's devotional life, suddenly you may see one, going down his devotion for some period of time due to various time, place, circumstances. But Lord, who is Kshetrajna, who knows the heart of a devotee, he glorifies him at the right time, gets him into position. That's exactly what happened in Bhishma Dev's life. So, let's go to the next sloka. 9.10. Krishnam chatat prabhavajna. Now that we finished now. It's not moving. Okay, so we'll also read the purport of this. It's a very good purport for 9.10. Can someone read? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Text 9.10. The Lord's omnipotency is displayed by his simultaneous presence in every place. He is present always in his eternal abode, Goloka Vrindavana, and still he is present in
One's heart.
everyone's heart and even within every invisible atom. When he manifests his eternal transcendental form in the material world, he does so by his internal potency. The external potency or the material energy has nothing to do with his eternal form. All these truths were known to Sri Bhishma Deva, who worshipped him accordingly. Hare Krishna.
Accordingly. That means this sloka is detailing us that Bhishma Dev was fully aware of the position of Krishna, who he is, what he is. To ordinary people who does not perform devotion, they may see the Vigraha in the temple as a stone. But for devotees, they know it is completely spiritual. It is ordinary stone. This is Bhagavan's mercy in the form of an Archa Vigraha, enabling us to worship him because of our material eyes, we cannot see the spiritual form of the Lord. Similarly, Bhishma Dev is fully aware of who is Krishna, what is his position, and how he is remaining as Paramatma in the heart of every living entities. He understands his potency, both internal and external potency, and accordingly he is paying his respects and obeisances to Krishna. Right? So, you see how knowledge with devotion makes one's perfect. Just knowledge will not help in whatever ways we are thinking. That means reading, hearing classes, nothing. But that alone won't help because knowledge is one of the stepping stones in devotion. But knowledge itself is not aspects of bhakti. Bhakti is performance of services, performance of certain action based on the knowledge one has acquired. So now Bhishma Dev is demonstrating it. Right? Now let's take a look at example like Ravana or Hiranyakashipu. They were also quite knowledgeable. But you see, when application of bhakti comes, they could not distinguish between Krishna and others. So hence, they developed demonic mentalities. So that is important to understand here. A bhakta understands the position and glories of the Lord and discharges his duty in service of the Lordship because he knows the exact position of the Lord. This is what is important to conclude. Any questions on this? Okay, now let's go to sloka number 11. Panduputranupasinam prashraya prema sangatan abhya chastanura agashrair andibhutena chakshusha. Translation. The son of Maharaja Pandu were sitting silently nearby, on both sides of Bhishma Dev, overtaken with affection for their dying grandfather. Seeing this, Bhishma Dev congratulated them with feeling. There were tears of ecstasy in his eyes, for he was overwhelmed by love and affection. Okay. Now here, the vision of Bhishma Dev is not material in nature. The vision of Bhishma Dev towards Pandavas is spiritual in nature. So why? Dharmaraja, that means Yudhishthira is called Dharmaraja. He is Dharma personified. Now, what is Krishna's mission? Krishna's mission is to establish Dharma. Yuga Dharma. Dharmam tu shakshat bhagavat pranitam. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharat. So, if that is the mission, if Dharma personified, Yudhishthira is going to sit on the throne to rule this world, the Lord and his devotees, especially Bhishma Dev here, is so pleased because that's the real goal of life. So, now he is not thinking, oh, you killed your own cousin and then came to the throne. He is not thinking that. He is talking about Dharma has to be sitting on the throne to rule this world. Because when that happens, it benedicts all the living entities throughout the world. And that is the point that Bhishma Dev is trying to address here. On the other hand, when he saw these Pandavas, what happened to Bhishma Dev? He was in tears. Why? Because for what no reason, you are put into so much of tribulations, so much of difficulties. And so much of difficulties, you were cheated by Duryodhana in all aspects. You were thrown away from the kingdom. All your property, your respects, everything were taken away. Right? And, you don't deserve it, but you still had to go through so much of difficulties. So look at this part of the purport where he talks about. He says, he remembered the great tribulations suffered by his most pious grandsons. Suddenly, he was most satisfied man because of Yudhishthira being enthroned in the place of Duryodhana. Thus, he began to congratulate them. So, mission accomplished. The mission of the Lord is accomplished. The Lord is pleased. The devotees are also pleased. Right? So, that is how he is expressing his love at this point in time. Okay. Now, let's read the next sloka, 9.12. Aho kastam aho anyayam here. Okay. Yadyuyam dharma nandanaha jivatam narahata klishtam vipra dharma achyutashraya. Look at this point, this line. Vipra dharma achyuta ashraya. Okay. Now let's see what does this mean. Translation. Bhishma Dev. Oh, what terrible sufferings and what terrible injustices do your good souls suffer for being the sons of the religion personified. You did not deserve to remain alive under those tribulations. Yet you were protected by the Brahmanas, God, and religion. So what sort of sufferings these Pandavas went through? Can we quickly make a list?
First of all, when they were kids, they were actually many attempts were made to kill Bhima and others also, Prabhu, like by throwing him to the well, by tying him into with a stone and throwing him into the well, and then later on there was attempts to made to burn their palace when they were sleeping. That is the wax palace that was built, and they were actually trying to kill like that. So, and then again, finally, the ultimate thing was like Shakuni and Duryodhana called them for the dice game, which they knew that they would cheat them, and then they deprived them of the ruling for ruling the kingdom, and then they put him to Agnatavasa for so many years that they had to go to. These are some of the
right.
things.
So like that, the list grows. Much more are there. Now imagine the worst thing of tribulations that they could go through is Durvasa Muni, who's considered to be fierceful, aggressive Muni, who keeps cursing people, and curse is so powerful that he cannot come out of the curse. Right? He goes with 10,000 of his disciples to take lunch, and not even a grain of food was there to offer. Right? So Krishna was there to save. So he is now talking about Anyaya. What sort of Anyaya that has happened to you? And for what reasons that you have to go through these material tribulations? So he is in tears explaining that. But however, he's concluding with the statement, Vipra Dharma Achyuta Ashraya. So what does this mean? What is Vipra? Vipra refers to Brahmana. Okay, Dharma refers to religiosity and principles. Then Achyuta refers to Lord Krishna. Ashraya means shelter. So even though you were in such great difficulties, this one, how is that you didn't die? How is that you came out successful? Is because of these four things. What are the four things? What is Vipra?
Brahmanas.
Brahmanas. Dharma?
Righteousness.
Religiosity. Okay, Achyuta?
Krishna.
Krishna. Asha, shelter. That means when you took shelter of Krishna, Achyuta, and when you were always religious, you followed the principles of Dharma. And you are a friend of these Brahmanas, that is serving them and taking their benedictions. What happens to you? No difficulties can come and put one into tribulations. You may go through a temporary phase, but you'll come out successful. And that's what Bhishma Dev is concluding here. I want someone to read the highlight purport.
Hare Krishna. As long as a person is fully in cooperation with the wishes of the Lord, guided by the bona fide Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, and strictly following religious principles, one has no cause for despondency, however trying the circumstances of life. Bhishma Deva, as one of the authorities in the line, wanted to impress this point upon the Pandavas.
Upon the Pandavas. So Pandavas role modeled in this world. What is the role modeled? Vipra, Dharma, Achyuta, Ashraya. And when they did that role modeling, they are telling this whole world how you can come out of these material difficulties. Right? So Bhagavatam also teaches the same thing. Savai pumsam paro dharmam yato bhaktir adokshaji. So when we take the shelter of adokshaja, right, none of these material difficulties will cause us any disturbances. There may be phased manners, but one will definitely come successful at every point in time. And that's the point here that Bhishma Dev is demonstrating with taking Pandavas as an example. Okay, now let's try and read sloka number 13 here. Stamtite atirate Pandav Prita Bala Praja Vaduhu Yushmat Krite Bahun Kleshan Prapta Tokavit Muhu. Translation. As far as my daughter-in-law Kunti is concerned, upon the great general Pandu's death, she became a widow with many children, and therefore she suffered greatly. And when you were grown up, she suffered a great deal also because of your actions. Right? So Kunti Maharani also suffered. It is not that just the 5 children suffered. Kunti Maharani suffered because she was wife of Pandu Maharaj, and she was the mother of Pandavas. She also went through all tribulations. It is not that she was spared. Right? Now look at, whenever we talk about Kunti Maharani, let's look at Kunti Maharani. Whenever we talk about Kunti Maharani, what do we remember? We remember 5. She has 5 children. Do we ever say, no, she had only 3, other 2 were Madri's children, Nakula and Sakadev? Do you ever think like that?
No.
No, we don't. So you see, Kunti Maharani demonstrated the sloka that we recite in 2.14, right? What is the 2.14? Matra sparshasta kaunteya sitoshna shukha dukada. That means this sloka is trying to tell us there will be times of difficulties, there will be times of happiness. But a realized soul does not get disturbed with these aspects of life. And it is so natural that these things keep coming again and again. But in sloka number 15, what does Krishna says? Krishna says, Yam hi na vyatayanti yete purusham purusharshava. So this sloka, you see, he says that one who, the sloka number 14 is only telling that do not be disturbed with these varieties of duality. But sloka number 15 is trying to conclude what happens to person who's steady during the dualities of life, demonstrating it. First, 14th is knowledge, 15th is actual practical demonstration. So one who understands that, okay, whether it is suffering or whether it's happiness, a devotee always takes shelter of Krishna. He attributes a situation and seeks mercy of the Lord and does not dodge what is coming his way. Such is a devotional practice which is very stable in one's life. Such a person, what will happen to him? He says, Amritavaya kalpate. Now, what is Amritavaya kalpate? That person will taste Amrita here. Amrita here refers to liberation. So such person will taste liberation and will go back home, back to God. So the quality of practice of devotion is that one do not change path during difficult times or during happy times. Their focus on Krishna's lotus feet is undisturbed. And that's the point here. Kunti Maharani faced so much of tribulations, but she upheld again the same thing. Vipra Dharma Achyuta Ashraya. And she was able to see success. Okay? So, this is a message that we need to carry from these purports. Whether it is suffering, whether it is happiness. Take more shelter of the Lord. Always go to the Lord for your protection, for your realization. Always connect with the Lord. So, Prabhupada talked about devotion, bhakti yoga practices. He said, understanding devotion and discharge of devotion is what makes one's perfect. Onto the lotus feet of Supreme Personality of God. When discharge of devotion is in congruence with what we have understood as devotion, then one's life becomes perfect. Here Kunti is demonstrating it. When she was about to be burnt in the wax palace, it is not that she said, oh Krishna, so we are doing so many good things, we are in mode of goodness all the time. Why is this difficult after coming in again? She did not discard Krishna. She took more shelter of the Lord. That is all the bad times she took shelter of the Lord. But when good times came, what is the good time came? She got back to her kingdom. Her sons became, Yudhishthira became the king of Hastinapur. Good time started now. She never told Krishna, okay, Krishna, I think all your help, thank you so much. Haribol, whenever I want, I'll call you. She never said that. She took more shelter of the Lord. What did she say? Krishna, please give me more difficulties so that I remember you. I remain in your shelter. And I always want to be under your lotus feet. That is her glory. So in difficult times also she took shelter of Krishna, and good times also she took more shelter of Krishna. And Krishna was very pleased. And he reciprocated to Kunti Maharani with a beautiful smile. So that is what is important here. That's what Bhishma Dev is acknowledging here. Okay? Is the point clear?
Yes, sir. But
Yes, sir.
this line means, Prabhu, when you
Which one?
suffered a great deal also because of your actions.
Actions meaning, see, because Pandavas were your sons, Kunti Maharani's sons, and the aim of Duryodhana was to devastate Pandavas, right? So there was no choice that Kunti Maharani has to go through the sufferings because she is mother of Pandavas. And whatever they did, it also caused difficulty for Kunti Maharani, but she accepted. Clear, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. In case, let's say Kunti Mani was not mother of Pandava, she was another great lady in that kingdom, she would have not gone through any sufferings. That's the key here, right? So directly or indirectly, she was not put into suffering directly. She was put into suffering indirectly, but still had this realization. That's the point to understand. Okay, we'll do one last sloka for the day. 9.14. Sarvam kala kritam manye bhavantam chayad apriyam sapalo yad vase loko vayur iva ganavalihi. Translation. In my opinion, this is all due to inevitable time, under whose control everyone in every planet is carried, just as clouds are carried by the wind. Right? So, Kala is very, very important to be understood. We don't have control over what events are going to happen at when and how. Right? So, for example, here the example is given the clouds, right? So, clouds are thinking that, okay, I want to go to this place and I want to pour lots of rain. But what does the Vayu do? It pushes the cloud to a different location. And you see over time and period, these clouds will pour rain and then withdrawal of it. So it is not in their hands. Why Vayu pushes? Because of Kala. So as time progresses, events keep changing. But that's not the goal of our life. What is the goal of our life? Let's look at the difference between a materialist and a devotee. Okay. See, materialist will die and his death will be very graveful or very suffering. Why? Because in the practice of his life, he never practiced devotion. He was in the mode of sense gratification or other sinful actions, wrong association, wrong consciousness. So he will die. As Kala moves, as time moves, he'll progress in his age and he will die. See, whenever sun rises and sun sets, one day is gone. That means Kala has moved us and moved us towards death closer. So a materialist, when he traverses this time, he will die, but the death will be meaningless because he will again have to take birth in the same state of consciousness that he left his body. That is a materialist. Now, what happens to devotees? Now, for materialists, death is unfavorable and very fearful and dangerous. But for devotees, death is super. Why? Because every day when sun comes and sets, one day advanced, but his advancement is not towards death, his advancement is towards more Krishna. That's the point. Because every day there is progression in one's life of devotion. He realizes Krishna more, he does more services, his consciousness more about Krishna, and he advances. That means as we grow, as Kala moves, devotees benefit to get closer to Krishna. For materialists, as Kala moves, they become closer to death personified. So that is the difference. So one has to take up devotion in service of the Lord, in remembrance of the Lord, in sweetness of the Lord, all the time. And they will see Kala, who is against, will be favorable for devotees. Can any one of us control Kala? No, Kala is Krishna. You can't control. You have to accept whatever it does. But we use our time, place, circumstances in a favorable option so that we can reach the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Right? That is how you understand Kala. Is it clear between how non-devotees look at time and how devotees look at time? Is that point clear?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. So the conclusion is devotees don't suffer. Why? Because whatever they suffer, Krishna will protect them, will take them again to the next level. But at the end of the death also, they get closer to Krishna, and many of us may reach Krishna's lotus feet. Many of us may have a deferred time to reach, but the devotee's life end will be glorious. And that is the key. And that's what our entire investment of life and activities is all about. Whatever else that we do in this life on material plane, they don't remain with us. They just goes away. That's why whatever opulence, be it knowledge, material knowledge, be it assets, be it value of money, be it name, fame, and salutations against our name, they're all called as Aishwaryam, but this Aishwaryam This refers to Lakshmi ji, and Lakshmi ji is Chanchalam. What is Chanchalam? Chanchalam means one who does not remain in one place. It just keeps moving away. So hence, all these material things are also Chanchalam. They are not permanent for us. They just go away. So rather than being a materialist and investing time on material activities, it is better to be spiritualist and invest our time and effort on spiritual activities. This is the glory of the teachings of our Acharya Srila Prabhupada. This is the glory of Srimad Bhagavatam, which enlightens one to understand how Kala is. Okay, so you can read. About these purports. What have we talked about? It is very important. Here is my humble request to all the attendees. After the class, please go read. For example, today we covered 14 slokas. The 14 slokas purports must be read. If you don't read the purports today itself, not tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, you will not understand the context in which I'm talking about. Then they get registered in your heart, then you will understand sequence, right? We moved away from Kuntimani prayers, now we're moving to Bhishma Dev prayers. So now in Bhishma Dev, before we studying the Bhishma Dev prayers, we're setting the scene, the consciousness, do's and don'ts, Kala, and the heart of the purity of Bhishma Dev. Okay? So far we established that Bhishma Dev is not an ordinary person, he's a great person. Why is he a great person? Because such great personalities, headed by Supreme Lord himself, coming to the battle arena to see him. If he was an ordinary devotee, he was anti-dharma, things like that, then none of them would have come and seen him. Krishna would have never come and done this great glory of glorifying Bhishma Dev. So, Krishna is called the absolute truth. When Krishna has done such an act, it is conclusive that Bhishma Dev is a great devotee. Now, that is what we got established. We established the position of Bhishma Dev. We got established with the consciousness of Bhishma Dev. What is he thinking about the Pandavas? What is he thinking about the whole situation? Then Bhishma Dev is going to preach to Yudhishthira Maharaj. That is the stuti that we will talk about in subsequent weeks. Okay? Now we'll stop the this thing here. So we'll take up questions.
Prabhu, in the text 14, where we read the last one, in the middle of the purport, Prabhu, everyone has to bear the actions and reactions of time as long as one is within the conditions of the material world. Okay, agreed, Prabhu. But the next sentence says, Yudhishthira should not think that he had committed sins in his previous birth and is suffering the consequence. This is contradicting the previous statement, no, Prabhu?
Okay, so now, Krishna is creating the difference, the paradox in the heart of Yudhishthira. Okay, why Krishna? It is not Yudhishthira just thinking like that. Krishna is making Yudhishthira to act like that by creating the paradox, the contradiction, so that Bhishma Dev can give this instruction to Yudhishthira and we all can get benefit out of this. It is not that Yudhishthira is put into bewilderment. That's the point here.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji, Dandarspanam.
Prabhuji, in the spiritual world, there is no effect of time, Prabhu, there.
Yeah, in the spiritual world, the effect of time does not play much. Just like how we have today, like the morning sun comes and then evening moon comes. And the spiritual also, like there is a day and things like that, but it doesn't affect anything else. There's no kala, right? It is not that, you will go old and you will die. There's nothing like that because your body is spiritualized. Your body is a spiritual body and there's no death. You remain the same age forever. For example, Krishna and Radha are same age forever. You will also remain the same age forever. You will continue to perform your duties. There is no question of, okay, I got disease, I waited for 3 days, I took medicine, I got cured. So all those things are acts of Kala. So those things don't happen in the spiritual world. So that means the effect of Kala is about just serving the Lord. Okay, yesterday I served the Lord with Mallika flowers. Today I'll serve the Lord with rose flowers, right? Only in that angle it exists. It doesn't exist in any other angle of Kala in the spiritual.
Prabhu, in this material world, the second needle moves, but in spiritual world, it will not move, Prabhu.
Sorry, can you repeat your question?
Prabhu, in this material world, for every second the needle moves, times that is time needle.
Yeah.
But in spiritual world, the movement will not be there, Prabhu.
It will be there, but it will more towards how do we do our actions and services for pleasure of the Lord. It will not be there in terms of, okay, I have to go to my office, I have to earn money, I have to do this. It won't be there in that format. It won't be in the format of getting aged or something. It won't be in that format. It will be just that, okay, now I prepared a jamun for Lord. Now next I'll prepare rasgullas. So still Kala has to move for one to perform his service, but it'll be just about the devotee and the Lord to execute the devotion service, nothing else.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Very
Hare
nice.
Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna,
Yes,
Prabhuji.
Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
Dandavat Pranam. I had a
Dhanush,
question with respect to how Bhishmadev became so knowledgeable, in the sense I don't know about his guru actually. So I just thought of asking.
his guru is Parshuram, right?
But okay, but I knew Parshuram only in the context of war, the weaponry knowledge that he gave. I thought so. I knew Parshuram as a guru, but I never thought he taught him in that sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
His guru is Parshuram. He went to Gurukul and he was fully trained by Parshuram. Okay. So Parshuram being an incarnation of Lord himself, so he is fully knowledgeable about all the Vedic Shastras and everything, and he imparted that knowledge. Not only in the Vidya of, just the Veda Shastra, it also Vidya of political science, military science, everything that he imparted. All the 64 Vidyas were taught to him.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Prabhuji, one question, general question on this. So,
Yes,
this we Bhishmadeva got this Ichha Mrityu Vardhan from his father, right?
Yeah.
But this even Lord Brahmaji was not able to give that immortality to Hiranyakashipu after so severe penance. So how come Shantanu was able to give this? I mean, what was his background? How he got those powerful?
We got the Richa Maranam you are asking.
Yeah.
There was a pastime. I don't remember that pastime exactly. There was a pastime situation that that Bhishmadev was awarded. I can share after the class. I will share you that pastime, Prabhu. How he got the Richa Maranam. Okay, you can read the pastime. You'll know. So it is not about all Santanu. For example, he is called Ganga Putra, right? So Ganga Devi also benedicts him. Like that, he is getting benedicted from various personalities on the weapons that he uses, on his life, and so many things that he gets benediction. So the Ichamadam also he gets a benediction. So I will share that benediction to you. That story. It is there in my laptop somewhere. I have stored it.
Thank you.
I don't remember the sequence of details, but he gets that benediction. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, please share it in the group, Prabhu.
I will share it, Mataji. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, Prabhu. Prabhu, in this birth itself, if we reach a spiritual world, we stay along with Krishna and we do service and everything, no, Prabhu.
Yeah.
After certain period of time, everything will destroy.
The spiritual world never gets destroyed. It remains there eternally. The material world gets destroyed.
Okay. Oh, when material
world, eternal it is. There's no, it says Anadir Adir. It says that means we don't even know when it got created and we don't even know what, because there's no aspect of time. Here, the material world, there's an aspect of time. The movement of the sun, the sunrise and sunsets gives you time factor. With the time factor, the life of the sun solar system, this life of Brahmaji, all are determined. But in the spiritual world, this time factor doesn't exist. Doesn't exist in the format of creation and destruction. So it is eternal. Everything is eternal in the spiritual.
That means if we reach this one spiritual world, again no need to come again, Prabhu.
Yeah, Krishna says
again
in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Yeah. He says, once you reach this highest destination, you don't need to return to this material world. In the 7th chapter, sloka number 21, he says, 21 or 22, just read through. He will say this.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji. Okay. Okay, if there are no more questions, please read through the purports. And please come tomorrow morning to the temple for a Bhagavatam class from this great sannyasi. Right, you must have all seen the posters. Have you seen the poster?
Yes,
Yes,
Prabhu. Yes, sir.
So which Maharaj is coming tomorrow?
Maharaj,
Vignan
Maharaj.
Goswami Maharaj.
Bhakti Vijnana Goswami Maharaj.
Russian Maharaj, Prabhu.
Russian Maharaj, a disciple of Radhanath Swami Maharaj. Okay, so he's coming. I personally a great admirer of him, and his preachings and his personal life also is so wonderful, right? His preachings are a little bit higher in class, very deep in its thought, but you should come for tomorrow's Bhagavatam class to experience it. So please come. Okay. Okay. There's a hand.
Prabhu,
Yes,
Prabhu, how about tomorrow evening also? 6 to 8 is there, no, Prabhu?
Tomorrow evening is more of Bhagavad Gita, is more of an outreach to all newcomers and things like that. So that is more towards what he's saying, because by Sunday evening feast, we have many newcomers coming to temple, 100 plus and things like that. So he will address more in that context. Okay, but morning Bhagavatam is the special tomorrow. So come out to Bhagavatam for all practicing. All practicing devotees come tomorrow morning, and evening we can meet in our center itself. Okay?
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah. Okay, we'll end today's morning class. Grandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gurudev ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande.
Hari Hari.
Pancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Vaishnava Thakur Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Tat Sat.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat
Thank you,
Pranam.
Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Dandavat.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna.
Krishna, Dandavat Pranam, Prabhu.
Dandavat
Thank you.
Pranam.
Hare Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandvat Pranam, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Pranam. Hare Krishna. Okay, we'll end the class here. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.